In the mid-19th century, a claim swept through America and Europe. Ordinary people, sitting around parlor tables, could hold direct conversations with the dead. This movement was distinct from the traditional reverence for ancestors found in ancient cultures. The French metaphysician René Guénon identified this specific modern phenomenon as Spiritism. The defining postulate of Spiritism is that communication with the deceased occurs through material phenomena, moving physical objects, knocking on walls, and tilting heavy furniture. Guénon's thesis challenges this entirely. From the perspective of traditional Eastern and ancient metaphysics, the truth's dangerous errors. They recognized the forces involved, but viewed pursuing such manifestations as a deviation from spiritual progress. Mediums often produce verifiable material phenomena and relay accurate personal information. If the deceased cannot be reached through these means, we must identify what is actually animating the seance room. Investigating the seance requires examining the components of human existence and setting aside modern assumptions about the nature of life and death. The Spiritist movement began at a specific time and place, 1848 in Hydesville, New York. It originated when the Fox family reported mysterious rapping sounds and established a system of knocks to communicate with the unseen source. The phenomenon quickly generated an output of physical evidence, spirit photographs, and automatic writing that satisfied a modern scientific obsession with material proof. Soon after, a French educator named Hippolyte Reveil, writing as Allan Kardec, systematized these phenomena into a formal doctrine. Kardec's circle was immersed in the utopian social movements of 1848. They integrated the progressive theories of thinkers like Charles Fourier and Pierre Leroux into the messages they claimed were coming from the spirits. This integration produced the modern dogma of reincarnation, the idea that the soul progresses through successive physical lives to achieve perfection. This concept of linear evolutionary progress is entirely absent from orthodox Eastern doctrine. The doctrine gained cultural traction by attracting prominent literary figures, such as Victor Hugo, who turned to the seance seeking emotional consolation after personal loss. Playwrights and intellectuals like Victorien Sardou also became embedded in the movement, producing elaborate automatic drawings they attributed to spiritual guidance. The astronomer Camille Flammarion and other prominent scientists stepped in to further legitimize spiritualism. They applied the language of empirical physics to these events, blurring the line between material science and spiritual doctrine. Guénon argued these intellectuals were not receiving transcendent wisdom. Instead, the mediums acted as psychic mirrors, reflecting the sitter's own socialist and evolutionary ideas back at them. Spiritism emerged as a 19th century socio-political reaction. Its physical legacy solidified a specific metaphysical misunderstanding that persists into the present. Defining the mechanics of the seance requires a map of the components of a human being. The modern Western framework reduces human existence to two disconnected elements, the physical body and the immaterial soul. To explain how spirit moves matter, Spiritists added a subtle, semi-material envelope called the perisprit. In this model, death is merely the subtraction of the physical body. This view renders the deceased nearly identical to the living, just invisible. They are believed to retain their terrestrial personalities and their material methods of interaction. Traditional metaphysics offers a different model: the physical body, a lower psychic envelope, and a transcendent spirit. Here, death is a profound ontological rupture. The transcendent spirit departs the physical domain entirely, leaving the lower psychic envelope as a discarded, disconnected shell. Ancient traditions identified this unconscious remnant. The Romans called it the manes, while Hebrew texts refer to the obe, psychological clothing discarded by the spirit. This traditional model allows us to observe the actual operational mechanics of the seance room. The production of physical phenomena relies on the living medium, who possesses an excess of neurological or vital force. The medium's vital force acts as a biological battery. When projected, this energy reanimates the discarded psychic shell, the obus, that remains bound to the terrestrial plane. This collision produces a reflex consciousness, a behavioral echo of the deceased that reacts mechanically to stimuli from the living. Because the shell retains the psychic imprint of the person it once clothed, it can provide accurate memories and personal details. However, it is a remnant, functioning independently of the departed individual's true spirit. A séance involves the mechanical reanimation of psychic debris. Spiritists mistake this unconscious psychological shell for the actual eternal soul of the deceased. These mechanics demonstrate the contrast between the modern Spiritist medium and the traditional operator, such as the Hindu fakir or the ancient sorcerer. Ancient frameworks classified evocative practices as a restricted subset of lower magic. The traditional magician works actively, directing and manipulating forces from a protected position outside the phenomena they produce. The séance demands absolute passivity. The medium surrenders their will to become a blank, receptive instrument for the forces they encounter. This passivity strips away natural psychic defenses, exposing unprotected individuals to the chaotic forces of the lower psychic world. Guénon classified mediumship as a cultivated pathology, a deliberate opening to possession and obsession. Ancient cultures viewed natural mediums as patients requiring healing. Modern Spiritism, by contrast, encourages the deliberate cultivation of the condition. Framing these practices as scientific progress, it transformed a spiritual hazard into a celebrated mass contagion. Spiritism was originally designed to combat the rise of 19th-century scientific materialism by providing physical evidence of the afterlife. It failed because it accepted the materialist premise. By demanding physical proof of the soul, it created a transposed materialism, treating spiritual states as mere extensions of physical science. This framework strips the afterlife of its true metaphysical transcendence, forcing the eternal realm down into terrestrial limitations. When immortality is reduced to moving furniture and ghostly knocks, the eternal spirit is treated as a parlor trick. Guénon concluded that spiritualism's primary error was mistaking the discarded remnants of the psychic underworld for the transcendent heavens. Spiritual knowledge begins when the pursuit of material phenomena is abandoned, leaving these psychic shells behind to grasp the genuinely eternal.